Her laughter echoed, but it wasn't the warm, intimate sound that once filled our late-night conversations. This laugh was jagged, reckless, meant for someone else. I stood frozen in the hallway as her giggle followed a comment from my boss's nephew, a barb not intended for my ears. It was her flaunting, a betrayal she didn't know was piercing my heart. I stayed silent, didn't barge in, didn't shatter anything. Instead, I slipped back into the shadows, my lips curling into a smile like a reader who'd just glimpsed the final chapter of a long-awaited novel. We'd shared a decade together, 10 years of planning, sacrificing, and hoping. I'd given her a loyalty that's rare among men today, funding her classes when she sought a new career, holding her through restless nights, standing up for her when her own kin called her entitled. She once named me her rock. Perhaps I was. But rocks grow burdensome, don't they? Some cast them off once they've steadied their course. The first hint of fracture appeared 6 months prior, in the quiet of a late night. Her phone lay face down, and a nervous chuckle escaped her when I entered the room. She dismissed it as a silly meme. And I didn't press, but the moment lingered in my mind. From then on, I saw the signs. A new fragrance, longer baths, sharper outfits for the office. She thought herself subtle, but she wasn't. When she boasted about my boss's nephew, I realized it wasn't just betrayal, it was hubris. She didn't merely stray. She mocked me in the same breath she deceived me. That revealed her weakness. That night, I chose not to confront or rage but to end it. Yet I wouldn't grant her the ease of a clean break. She'd face the weight of her own actions. My first step was discreet. I hired a lawyer, instructing him to keep it hushed. No outbursts, no chaos. He grinned and said, "You'll need an edge." I already had one. For months, I'd gathered evidence, screenshots, call records, bank transfers she assumed I'd overlook, photos of her sneaking into hotels on supposed weekend getaways with friends, all meticulously timestamped and filed. But the true gem wasn't proof of her affair. It was something deeper, something she hadn't even acknowledged to herself. Years ago, before our wedding, I'd insisted on a thorough background check for our prenup. She'd laughed, called me overly cautious, but signed without hesitation. Hidden in the fine print was a clause she never bothered to read, one tying her financial security to a single critical detail: her legal identity. And that identity held a flaw, uncovered when my investigator dug into her records. The day I filed for divorce, she smirked, arms folded, almost victorious. "Good," she said, as if she'd already claimed her prize. She believed half of everything was hers. Her lawyer shared her confidence at first, lounging in his costly chair, smugly declaring I'd be lucky to keep my car. I didn't argue or protest. I simply nodded to my attorney. He reached into his briefcase, drew out a single page, and slid it across the table. Her lawyer picked it up, still smirking, and began to read. His expression faltered. His face paled, his lips quivering as he muttered, "My God, you married him." The room fell silent. My soon-to-be ex let out a nervous laugh. "What's that mean?" she asked. Her lawyer, unable to meet her gaze, slid the paper toward her with trembling hands. She read it slowly, then frantically, her face contorting from disbelief to dread. The document laid it bare. Her prior marriage, one she'd claimed was just a fleeting romance, had never been legally dissolved. She'd wed a man abroad, and that record still stood. When she stood at our altar, she wasn't free. Our marriage was never valid. No asset division, no alimony, no spousal claims, nothing. She had wagered her future on a lie she didn't even know she'd spun. I watched the truth crush her. A decade she thought she could leverage against me vanished in moments. She'd traded devotion for fleeting nights with men who didn't care to know her fully. Now she had nothing. She tried to protest, to shout, but her lawyer, sweating, cut her off. "You don't get it," he said. "Legally, you were never his wife. You get nothing." Her eyes met mine, wild with desperation, pleading. But I felt nothing, no pity, no fury, just a clear, unshakable calm. The aftermath was subdued. No public scenes, no smash plates, just quiet. Within a week, she packed her pride into suitcases and left, her voice shrinking daily. My lawyer sealed the case with a nod. I walked away whole, my home, my savings, my freedom, untouched. She left with nothing but the fading echo of her own laughter. Sometimes I revisit that moment, her giggle behind the door, so certain of her triumph. The pain it caused still stings, how it carved out a hollow in me. But then I recall her face when she realized she'd unraveled herself long before I acted. Revenge doesn't always burn hot or loud. Sometimes it's a single page gliding across a desk. Sometimes it's patience, restraint, precision. I never raised my voice or made threats. I let the truth speak for itself, and it roared louder than I ever could. I don't miss her, nor do I miss what we were. All I feel is the peace that follows a storm you've faced without blinking. She betrayed me with arrogance. I responded with silence. She played her games and I closed the board. Best of all, she'll forever carry that moment. The paper, the whisper. My God, you married him. That was when she saw I didn't need to ruin her. She'd done it herself.